Hello everyone, welcome back. Happy to see you all virtually. Shout out to my buddy Oscar that watches every single one of my videos. So today we are in beautiful Glendale, Arizona. It is 102 degrees up here right now. I came up to this train. We work on a lot of trains. Why? Well, it's not because they're junk. Well, maybe a little bit, right? I guess that's more of a opinion. But primarily because we're Trane TCS dealers, so we get a lot of calls from people that got a Trane. They go to the Trane website, and then the Trane website, sends them our way. Tells them to call us. Anyways, this call pretty much said that the breaker tripped. Well, what can cause a breaker to trip? Typically it's a short, or it's a ground, or it's overamping, something's pulling too much power. You get the picture. So I took the plug off, power's off, right? See there, power's off. So I did get here, the breaker was tripped. But anyways, so this is the first thing I went to go look at, was this compressor. And a compressor, this is a 3-phase compressor. So this is not like your normal compressor on a residential home, right? This does not have a run, a common, and a start. You see that? It's got L1, L2, and L3, which means there is no start winding. Like in a residential home, they're just lines, right? You have direct power all the time as soon as that contactor pulls in. So when you go from, try to do this with one hand always. I got a GoPro. I got 2 GoPros, and I'm horrible at bringing them to work. Anyways, so you go from line 1 to line 2, right? And let me see, what do we got here? Let me see it up. Sorry, that's not it. So you set it up on ohms, right? You see the little ohm, the little horseshoe, and you go from line 1 to line 2, and that's reading 586. So back to having 3 lines. Because they're all just lines, all the ohms should be identical. So that was kind of like my first red flag. So now let's do L1 to L3. Should it be 500, right? 580. It is, come on, 125. And then between L2 and L3, 527. So something is up with L3. Okay, so pretty much, if they're not all the same ohmage on, they're not all reading the same ohms, then you pretty much got a bad winding inside of that compressor. So another test you can do is check your ohms between each leg and the ground. Okay, so let me do that. So between any ground and each leg. So I should not be reading any ohms, okay, to ground. I should say open line. It says 95 on line 1, 498 on line 2, and 32 on line 3. And I was supposed to say open line on all of those, just like it says right there. So that means that this compressor is indeed grounded. All right. This system was recently replaced because it had a bad compressor before. So there is something definitely going on with the power source coming from the building. This is a Copeland scroll compressor. On the basis of probability, I would not say that that is a crappy compressor out of the factory, because Copeland is pretty solid. So I think there's something wrong with the power coming from this building. So we're going to look for. I'm going to look further into it. That could be. I typically see a bad breaker, welded breaker, melted breaker. Any one of those will ruin compressors. If you have bad breaker, it will ruin a compressor. If you have, bad wiring, low voltage, high voltage, I should say. All of that will ruin a new compressor. So if it ruined the one before this on the old unit, and it ruined this new unit's compressor, which is the Copeland, there's something going on with the power of this building. But that's a whole different other issue. The point of this video was just to show you how to diagnose a pretty much compressor that has bad windings, and it is reading ohms to ground, and that's going to cause it to trip the breaker every time. That was the purpose of this video. If I end up figuring out, well, actually, when I figure out what is the electrical issue going on, I will possibly make a follow-up video. All right, well, that's how you diagnose a compressor on a 3-phase system. Thank you for watching.